Yeah.
Today, I'm joined by Steve Feinberg, president of Blue Water Battery Logistics. With decades of experience in surplus markets, Steve now leads Blue Water's mission in reusable equipment, including batteries, solar panels, recycling, and reuse. He recently spoke at RE Plus 2025 on decommissioning and recycling, and I'm excited to dive into his insights on the future of clean energy. Steve, welcome.
Welcome, Chris.
Yeah,
Glad to be
appreciate it.
here.
Thank you. Steve, for those who may not be familiar, and we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the solar side of things, can you briefly explain what surplus solar panels are and how Blue Water got involved with this market?
Surplus solar panels actually are no different than regular solar panels. The only difference is there's a project that may have been canceled and they never got used. So sometimes they show up because when a solar project's being done, I apologize, I should have turned my phone off even now. But anyway, also what happens is when a project's done, they don't order the exact 100,000 panels because occasionally there's some cracked ones and stuff. So they overorder a little bit. Those overordered panels eventually become surplus panels when they're not used.
So when you are going to a project to resell these, is it a hodgepodge of different types of solar panels, or are they all the same type? What would you say there?
So the first thing is we find what's available, and then somebody brings to us what their specs are. That'll be the dimensions, the watts, and there may be some other more different things like holes, mounting, things like that. So what we'll do is we'll see what's available. In a perfect world, we'd have the exact same panel, but unfortunately that usually doesn't happen. So what we'll do is we'll match them up as close as we can, and then we'll offer it to the customers, and if they can use them, then they buy them. If not, then back to the drawing board.
Perfect.
And sometimes we're not successful, and often we are.
Sure. Now you kind of alluded to this, but where do these panels typically come from?
Canceled projects typically, or when they build the project, they have extras. They order extra ones because occasionally some are cracked, and they don't want to hold up a production stream because of a few cracked panels, because it's very expensive if you have to wait for more of them to come in and you have your whole crew there. So they order some extras, and sometimes these are available. And the plan initially is that those extras will be used for spares in case something breaks, or down the road they may need them. But down the road comes and the equipment's fairly reliable, and then become surplus available panels that they want to sell. They cost people money to keep them in a warehouse.
Yeah,
They don't want to pay the storage fees.
got it. Now, sourcing compatible replacement parts can be a major challenge for solar operators. How does Blue Water help solar companies find the right panels and components for their needs?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not as easy as it's easy, but it's really not as easy as it sounds. We actually have a spreadsheet with over 11,000 panels, which give various criteria, the watts, the dimensions, and we use that sheet, taking literally years to create. And we put in the numbers, and it gives us our best guesses, and we match up with what's there, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, so it's not like you're saying, it's not just as simple as saying, oh, this is exactly what we need and here it is. You really have to do a lot of specs, searching for what's going to work for a project, what kind of wattage they need, and then you actually help your customers find that.
That's right. But the work is in the details up front, without having done all the data entry to know what all the different dimensions are for all the different panels, because there are literally tens of thousands of different size panels. Without doing that, it would be a nightmare, because you can't just take a look at each data sheet and open it up and say, okay, that won't work, and go on to the next and the next. You need to. So there is a barrier
Yeah.
to do what we do.
Oh, it sounds like certainly. Steve, how is the surplus solar equipment market helping companies deal with supply chain delays and downtime?
That's an excellent question. And what I could say is if you have a, a site that's down, you're not making money. You're not getting electricity. If you're delaying bringing that site up, you're not getting electricity. So what you need is to find whatever it is that's holding up finishing it, whether it's extra panels, whether it's an inverter came in that was broken, whether it's a transformer you can't find, whatever the item is, you need to get it because time is money. And while it's sitting, it's not working. And often, like in transformers, there's anywhere from a 2 to 5 year lead time on ordering stuff. Think of solar panels. If you have to order them from China or wherever they're coming, it's easily anywhere from a month to 6 months to get them. Inverters could be inverters could be 6 months to a year. Actually, inverters could be longer, could be 2 years. So you don't want to hold your project up, and surplus equipment can fill that need.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Or it also could be you have a solar farm and something happened, a fire took out some of the panels or some of the equipment, or transformer caught fire, and you need this thing right away to get your site up and running. You get it, you can't get it, and that's how it really benefits companies.
Steve, with weather events, natural disasters, where they're becoming more frequent, it seems, in recent years, what role can surplus?
There is no climate change. I just want to make sure you understand.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Bad joke. Bad joke.
I'm not pushing an agenda, and you're not either.
I, let's not go there right now.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, yes, go on with your
Yeah,
question.
what role can surplus solar panels play in helping solar farms recover quickly after events like storms or hail? I imagine like that's like doomsday for a solar farm operator. Would you say like a huge hailstorm's coming?
It's not doomsday.
Okay.
It's obviously not good for business because it's going to cost you a lot of money to go in and remove the panels, and then you have to find compatible panels. And the problem is that the newer panels are much higher wattage, and you can't put them in to the old farm because the equipment's not compatible. The size of the panels is not compatible. So surplus equipment is really good in the sense that it tends to be older, because it tends to be anywhere from 2 to 6 years old that it's been sitting, and it can be compatible with those panels that are damaged in a hailstorm or tornado or earthquake, fire, whatever it is.
Now with the technology in solar panels, it sounds like the market's advancing pretty quickly. Would you agree with that?
Shockingly
Okay.
fast. I mean, a panel was maybe 100 watts 15 years ago. I just read somewhere that, and currently it's about 700 watts. I heard that a company's technology now, same size, 1100 watts. Can you imagine
Wow.
how much more? And they rate these panels, by the way, on what percentage of sunlight they can actually turn into energy. So years ago, it was like 7 or 8% of the sunlight could become energy, electricity. The 1100 watt ones, I believe it's going to be 31 or 32%. That's a lot more power
Yeah. Two,
when you
three.
think about it.
Yeah, more than
Much more power
four
than
to five times as much, right?
that's right. And you think about it, it's almost a game changer. You put that on people's homes,
Yeah.
on roofs, carports, solar farms. It's really going to be it's a game changer.
So with this advance in technology, what are some of the common compatibility issues you're seeing, and how is Blue Water addressing those when sourcing or?
Well, I want to go back one thing. Now it sounds like, well, why don't we just put in the newer panels because they're so much more powerful? And that sounds good. The problem is to put in the new panels, it's not the cost of the panels, it's the labor that goes into it. It's the civil work. It's piling the the metal into the ground, and that all has to be removed. And so you can't just take a new panel and put it in. Now, the advantage of keeping a solar farm going longer with surplus equipment is that you can potentially, when the day comes and you can't find it anymore, you can leapfrog the technology. So instead of putting in a 700-watt panel, you leapfrog it, and now your next site is going to be 1100 watts. So it really does, and you're not spending double money that you would do, because it costs you twice as much to remove all the old stuff to put the new stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I imagine this is part of your company's offering to your clients, is that you're kind of helping them strategize on all of this.
Yeah, we're extending the life of their network till the time comes when they want to expand it,
Perfect.
or upgrade it, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
repower, whatever term you want to use.
I'd like to talk environmental impact on this. It's a concern as solar panel waste grows. Can you explain how using surplus or second life panels benefits both the environment and the companies that use them?
Sure. One thing is, if you use surplus panels, you're not recycling those panels. So they don't get recycled. It takes energy to recycle something, you know, whatever it is, meaning you have to drive it somewhere, you have to grind it up, you have to melt it down, or whatever you do to the recycling process. So you're saving energy that way. And then the other thing is, like I was saying, if you extend the life of it environmentally, it's really good, because if you're putting in the newer panels, it takes a tremendous amount of manpower, but also a tremendous amount of energy. You have to have machines that go out there, pull these pilings out. You have to do the civil work with construction equipment, bulldozers, run wires, end up the cement that's there to put in the new equipment. All of that takes energy, and all of that is has an environmental impact.
Yeah.
And this limits it. It limits it when you do it this way.
Okay. I'm I'm just curious, are you seeing more pressure from regulators or from customers on the sustainability side of things?
But we're kind of in a funny business in that regard. Most of our customers are very appreciative of that we're able to help them out. There's one area that I do see more pressure, which makes sense, is that you can't just do one of these projects without the proper permitting, and also having a bond where there's money posted for when the day comes when everything has to be pulled out, that there's money there. Uh, government agencies got smart, because they found that there were some of these solar farms or battery projects that were done, and the people went out of business, and there was nobody there to clean up the mess, so to speak. And it's not cheap to clean up one of these messes, to move containers of batteries or thousands of solar panels. You have to get teams in there it's a lot of money. So you have to post a bond. That's a big change from where it was years ago.
Okay.
That's much more strict.
Steve, please explain why a solar farm operator would prefer to repower using outdated lower watt panel technology versus the latest and greatest higher watt panels. And I know you alluded to this a little, but what would you say?
Oh, there's it. First of all, you get your solar farm up and running much faster. You don't have to go in. You don't have to pull out all the metal that's in the ground. You don't have to spec out the engineering costs and everything. See, one thing is, the cost of a solar farm, surprisingly, it isn't all in the solar panels. Actually, more of the expense is in the civil work to prepare the land, uh, the work to put the piles in the ground, the installation of the panels. Cost of the panels is not really that much overall, if you take everything into account. So this allows you to get your solar farm up and running, and saving a lot of money that you would have to do to pull everything else out. And, I mean, they built it originally to make money, and it's there, and it'll still keep producing and doing it, and it's fine. There will be a day that it's going to have to be pulled out. But But when that day comes, you'll be able to leapfrog the technology, and instead of, let's say, having 400-watt panels, you'll go to the 1100-watt panels that are the latest and greatest.
Yeah, I appreciate you explaining that. I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more broadly about what Blue Water does. I know that what we've talked about with the solar panels is one part of your market. How much of your offering does that represent versus other things that you're doing? Could you share with us,
Yeah, I'm going to share a couple stories for
please?
you first. So I've been doing this for many, many years, computers, telecom, and now this. There was a part that the federal government needed, actually the Coast Guard needed, years and years ago in their telecom system. And originally that part was $400, but they couldn't get it anywhere. So we were able to source them with our creativeness for $3,000. And you would go, oh my God, why would they pay that much money for it? Well, that one part, if they couldn't get it, was going to cost them $49,000 for over 100 sites. So without it,
Wow.
that's what they had to pay. And that's when I learned that the importance of what we do is we're helping people keep their sites going where they don't have to struggle to find new ways to have to pay $49,000 for a part. Instead of doing that, yeah, they may pay a little bit more compared to the initial price of the new panels, but they get their system up and running, and that's the goal. That's what we offer people.
Yeah, I love that
We do
story.
that with other types of equipment, inverters, which convert the electricity from DC to AC or back and forth depending on the application. Formers occasionally, and obviously batteries. When batteries get old, batteries need to be decommissioned, and one of two things happens. Depending on the type of battery and the age, if they're not too old, you may be able to find a second life for some of the battery cells, uh, or you just recycle them and and take care of them. So we do that. We what most of our business is not on new installations. Most of our business is supporting the existing installations that are out there.
Hey, Steve, I know we've been talking about solar panels and the reuse there. Wondering if you could just help us understand more the full scope of what your company is doing, what other services you offer or products you offer.
Yeah, sure. Blue Water Battery got started doing batteries. The plan was we were going to find lithium batteries and that needed to be recycled and do it. But we found that there was another need out in the market, and that was there was a lot of surplus cells that actually weren't made into battery packs. And so we have another division that actually finds homes for those cells, and they'll make them into different types of products. You know, it could be flashlights, it could be drill motor packs, um, things like that. And that's probably 40 to 50% of our business too. So we have two divisions, and that's a very strong part of our divisions, I should say. We've actually done some fairly large projects there. There's a couple large uh, auto manufacturers that went out of business. We've done 15 truckloads of cells out of Michigan. We did, I don't know how many truckloads out of Arizona for another company that went out of business. So, we do some pretty significant of
Oh,
these.
it sounds like I used to have a friend who would like find kind of electronics parts stores that were kind of going out and he would buy them up. It sounds like you're doing that on a bigger scale with cooler equipment and stuff like that, but sourcing
We
it globally
yeah,
even.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
amusing because occasionally somebody calls and they, hey, I've got one battery to recycle, or I need a half a dozen of these solar panels. Pretty
Yeah.
much we're dealing in truckloads and containers.
Yeah.
Some of our customers will go smaller and do as little as a pallet or something, but for the
Yeah.
most part, we're doing truckloads of batteries,
Yeah. Wow. That's cool. That is way cool.
many, many, many pounds of batteries, millions of pounds.
Mm,
One thing that's another thing that's interesting too is batteries do catch fire, which we read about in the news, and we're able
yeah.
to handle that. We know all the special packaging that you have to do to ship the these damaged batteries. They call them DDR for uh, you know damaged defective recall of these batteries. So we know how to get the special crates and equipment to ship those. And we've done fairly large. We had a large manufacturer. We did thousands of home storage batteries on a recall for them. So that's you have to make the special crates, ship them in.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. I have seen some of those news stories on things catching fire like that, especially more on the consumer electronics side. But yeah, I imagine when it happens on more commercial start use, it's bigger fires.
It is, and the interesting thing though, technology eventually does catch up and make things safer and smaller and more reliable. And the initial, batteries, they put them in a big giant building, and lo and behold, one would catch fire, and the fire department comes, sprays water, everything catches on fire.
Hmm.
Now they've reduced it down to these 10 by 10 cubes or 10 by 20, whatever. And, one of them catches fire. They let it burn out, and it's not good, but it's not nearly the catastrophe that it was um, a few years ago. The new designs are better.
Hmm.
Things it's like anything else. The first, the first cars that came out weren't exactly the safest things on the road.
Right, right, right. Yeah. Would you kind of walk me through like who your like ideal client is, like who you're actually helping? I just want people to know like whether they fall in the bucket or not.
Whether they who would, that's if you can answer my question on that, I would tell you because it comes from everywhere.
Wow.
Sometimes it's a manufacturer that needs something to support one of their customers, and we find it for them. Sometimes it's an EPC that's been hired by an owner operator of a site to do work. Sometimes that EPC is actually doing it themselves. It could be there. Most of our clients tend to be utility scale. We don't really deal with residential because residential it's much easier to replace whatever it is on your roof. You're only replacing a few hundred panels, maybe at the most. But a solar farm, you're replacing thousands, tens of thousands of times.
Yeah, no doubt. Um, it'd be interesting if you could share like maybe just a client that you're really able to help through the process from beginning to end. Would you be willing to share?
We had an interesting one with a customer in Bermuda, and they had a unique situation. Bermuda's a funny country because the largest shipping container that can go there is 20 feet, and so
Wow.
they needed for whatever reason they needed a certain type of solar panel because they had to repower it. They also needed older inverters, so it made it a very complicated transaction. So what we did, we sourced the right size panel for them, and and then later on we found them the right inverter that they needed, which had been manufactured discontinued. We found 10 brand new ones in the world, and we got those inverters shipped to them. And then, but anyway, the solar panels were shipped over to them, and then the container stayed there while they pulled out the old damaged panels, and then they put them in the shipping containers, and it came back to the United States where we had them recycled. And in addition, they also put the inverters in there too, so we recycled those too.
I see.
So
It's
that's an example. We had another customer that um, they needed many thousands of solar panels. We found them, and we moved them from one place to another, many truckloads to get the panels from one point to another.
so it sounds like these clients of yours, a lot of times it involves quite a bit of problem solving on and solution finding on the side of your team. Is it very customized like that, would you say? Most of the, or is it like, is there I guess a cookie cutter type of client that you have, or is it, I'm just curious,
Oh no,
genuinely
this is
curious, like,
an excellent question. And what I always say is every opportunity is unique, and each one has variables, and you have to look at each variable to see what is the best solution that you can come up with for your customer. And the variables could be their location, the location of where the replacement equipment is, the size of the panels. Are there any other things about the panels that you need to know? The connectors, is the mounting of it, and the condition of the old ones. Do they want you to recycle the old ones? There's many variables, and and likewise, it's an interest. I would also say every piece of surplus equipment also has a story. You know, because you go, why did somebody buy all of these things? What an idiot, or something like that. No, nobody is an idiot. They made the best decision they could at the time, and there was some story that led to that equipment becoming available.
Yeah.
And we take all of that information into account, and we want it to be a win-win situation. We don't want to go to somebody and have us complete the deal, and we bought all their panels, and then they feel like we ripped them off or something. We don't want that. We want them to feel like we did the best we possibly could for them. Likewise, we want our customers to feel that buy them, that we really went out and we looked for them, and we found the best possible product for them, or the best possible panel, or the best possible battery or inverter that we could find.
Yeah.
And so every transaction is unique.
No, I like
That's
that.
what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I like that explanation of it. Keep things fresh, right? For you shared a couple of those clients that you've been able to help, and I'm sure you have a bunch of other stories on that. Um, how do they find you, or how do you find them? Like, what is your way of doing that?
There's no magic pill that you can take other than hard work. That's what I would just say. It's just hard work. Just being out there, being at, like you said, I was at RE Plus, having your name out there, talking to people,
It's
knowing
primarily, would you say, like through word of mouth, networking, referrals, like those
it's
types of things?
it's everything from word of mouth to actually getting lists of the largest companies that potentially we could do business with, to trade show attendees, to and just making sure we get our name out there.
Yeah,
And our feeling is that when people need us, they will come to us, as long as they know that we're here to help them.
yeah,
We try not to beat our service into somebody and say, "Oh, call us. We have this for sale. We got a special 2 for 1." No, we want to be there when you need us. And we like to remind you that we're here. Don't get me wrong. We'll
mm,
send out a message every once in a while to remind you that we're here, but we're not going to beat the door down on you and blast you with 50 emails a month, or something like
yeah.
that. We don't believe in that. When people want our service, they'll come to us, and then we will be very responsive. We give them excellent service,
No
and
doubt.
sometimes excellent service is saying, "I really feel bad to tell you this, but we can't help you. We've tried. We've looked everywhere. We just don't have a solution today, and we're sorry." And
And I
that's
think any good business person appreciates that answer. If you can't help, you can't help, right? Um,
that's all you can. You just there's no reason to try to say anything other than it's just, we can't do it today, but we'll put your name on a list for what you need, and then if it shows up, we will call you. And often that happens, and then sometimes it's a
mm,
month, sometimes it's a year later we do it. It's funny, in my old job, I once had one of these transactions 8 years later. I called the guy. And 8 years, you would have
they're like,
thought the
let's
guy
do
would
it.
have been retired by there. He bought it. 8 years.
I love it. Steve, if you could wave the magic wand and you know magically fix something in Blue Water's business right now, what would you say that would be for you?
Wave the magic wand and do it. You know what? That would be a really hard question, because I really enjoy the job that I have. I enjoy the customers. I like that we're in a helpful business. I like the employees that I have. And that's it. The only magic one that I would say is I would like us to become a bigger company so we can help more people and offer our service. And I like being in a feel-good business that I feel is healthy for the environment. But that's probably the only thing that I could.
I love that answer. Yeah, I love that answer. Well, I want to be able
I'm
to,
glad you do.
yeah, I would love you to be able to just share with us the best way to find your company and connect with you. What's the best way?
Our website is there. It's bluewaterbattery.com, and you just go to it and you'll see there's plenty of information about the company, and you could just do the online thing that's there. You're welcome to email myself. I have a very simple email, sfeinberg, Feinberg at bluewaterbattery.com, and and I'll either take handle your problem myself, or I'll find somebody who's better at it than I am. That's the best part of this
Yeah.
business is you start off, and they have an expression that a mouse is still taller than a giant, right?
Yeah.
I like that right
Huh.
now I have a lot of giants that are taller than me now working for our company, and they're really very skilled at what they do. And it's makes it a pleasure to feel comfortable that somebody can help somebody better than I can.
Well, it sounds like you have a great team there, Steven. I appreciate you coming on the podcast today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I hope it works out.